Hey guys, welcome to Telling the Told and Untold. My name is Tshego. So today's case is a bit different, only because we're starting outside of South Africa, but we do end up in South Africa. So yeah, with that, let's go straight into it. In 2010, Anni Dewani was 28 years old and she was a Swedish national. Her and her family were from India, but she was raised in Sweden. She was beautiful and intelligent, and she had an engineering degree. She also came from a very wealthy family. She started seeing British businessman Shrien, who was 35 years old at the time, and he was born and raised in the UK. They had known each other for about 18 months before they decided to get married, and their relationship seemed pretty normal. They seemed like a very happy, loving couple, and nothing seemed wrong. According to Annie's friends and family, after their engagement, things changed. She said that Shrien seemed very controlling and she had doubts about their engagement and just seemed like she didn't want to marry him anymore. She would send messages to her family telling them that she hated him and doesn't know why she got engaged, and told her friends that they had nothing in common because he was such a perfectionist. Despite Annie's doubts, they still got married. In October 2010, Annie and Shrien got married. They had a big, lavish wedding and spent about £150,000, which in 2010 would have been about 1.6 million rands. It was very big, it was beautiful, and the couple just seemed very happy and in love. The wedding went over about 3 days and was in Mumbai, India. Just before the couple went on their honeymoon, Annie was heard saying that she wanted to get a divorce. On the 9th of November, they flew to South Africa, and their first stop was at the Kruger National Park. As soon as they got there, Annie sent her family a message saying that Shrien is a nice guy, but she just doesn't feel anything for him. The next day, she sent them another message telling them that it's getting better. It's going better than before. It's hard to explain. I'll call you when I'm back. Then she texted them again. Just hate the word divorce. 4 days later, the couple flew down to Cape Town to enjoy the rest of their honeymoon. As soon as they landed, they found a taxi driver, and his name was Zola Tonga, who was 30 years old. Some people think it's a bit strange that they didn't have like a shuttle waiting for them or had their own transport waiting for them, because Shrien was such a perfectionist. But either way, they got into this taxi and went down to their hotel. Their hotel was the Cape Grace, and it was about 30 minutes away from the airport. And everything just seemed normal and fine. And once they got to the hotel, Annie got outside of the taxi, went inside the hotel, and checked in. Meanwhile, Shrien stood outside with Zola, and they were just having conversation. According to Zola, though, Shrien went up to him and asked him if he was able to kill someone for him. And according to him, he said no, he doesn't associate himself with such things, but he knows someone who can in the township. After this, Shrien went inside the hotel and went to go join his wife. And after they had checked in and everything, he went back outside to go talk to Zola. And they had a conversation for about 9 minutes. This is corroborated by CCTV footage. Shrien says that he was asking Zola if he could be just their driver for the rest of their Cape Town trip, whereas Zola says that Shrien was discussing payment, asking him how much it would be for him to kill someone for him. He kept saying that he wanted him to kill a woman, but never specifically said that he wanted to kill his wife. Zola then left the Cape Grace and went to another hotel, the Colosseum, which was about 20 minutes away. On his way there, he called the reception and spoke to Monde Mblombo to arrange a hit. Meanwhile, while this was happening, Shrien left his wife Annie in the hotel room and walked out of his hotel. As soon as Zola got to the Colosseum, Monde came outside and they had a conversation for about 2 minutes. This is corroborated by CCTV footage. And it said that they were discussing the hit, and Zola told him that there was a man that wanted them to kill a woman for about 15,000 rand. And after this, Monde got on the phone and phoned another man. Mzwame Madota Qhabe was 26 years old and he was unemployed and from Khayelitsha. On the phone, apparently Monde was telling him that they had a hit and asked if he could basically just join in and help them. After this 2-minute conversation where apparently all three of them just discussed the hit on Annie, Zola left and Monde is seen on CCTV footage just seeming very happy and excited. He was laughing and it seemed like he had just gotten like some good news, something of that sort. Roughly at the same time, at £6:15, Shrien got back to his hotel. He had converted £800 to rands, which would have been about 8,800 rands. He also had a single red rose for his wife. As soon as he got to their room, Annie decided to call her family, and they later said that she sounded very odd, weird, like she didn't seem herself, but they didn't take note of it until afterwards. And unfortunately, this would be the last time that they spoke to her. At 1840, Zola calls Nzima Madoda to confirm the job, and then he calls another man, Olile Mngeni. So at this point, there are 4 men. There's Zola Tonga, who was the taxi driver, Monde Mlombo, who was the receptionist at the Coliseum, Nzima Madoda Qwabe, who was the supposed gunman, as well as Olile Mngeni, who was also the other gunman. Also, I just want to apologize if I'm not saying them properly. I'm really trying my best. So that night, Shrien and Annie went to dinner, and this is corroborated by CCTV footage. The waitress later said that they didn't seem like a couple that was like a newlywed couple that was enjoying their honeymoon. She says that she always served couples and they just didn't seem happy or just enjoying each other's company. She said at one point in the night she went to the table and Shrien wasn't there. So she asked Annie where he went and she just replied that he went to answer a business call. Shrien had left his cell phone in their hotel room, so he went back to go get it. Once he got his phone, he saw that he had a message from Zola, so he decided to call him, and the call lasted about 5 minutes and 26 seconds. Shrien says that he was asking him if they could just plan sightseeing tours for him and his wife. At 11:30, Annie and Shrien returned to their room, and less than 30 minutes later, Zola came up to pick up Shrien. They went to a jeweler, and that's where Shrien decided to convert more money. He converted about $1,500 to rands. I don't know why he's converting it at midnight, but that's what he did. And at this point, including the money that he had converted earlier that day, he had about 21,000 rand in cash. He says that he was organizing a helicopter ride for his wife, but it's a bit odd for him to be planning it at midnight. Also, the only hotel that had helicopter rides for their guests was the Coliseum, and that's where Monde worked. Also, the helicopter ride cost 15,000 rand, which was also the same amount as the attempted hit or alleged attempted hit. After this, Zola takes Shrien back to the Cape Grace, and apparently on their way to the hotel, Shrien was asking him, just basically asking him how he's going to do it and telling him that he wants it to be fast and that he doesn't want to be there. Also, it's a bit strange that Shrien is often referred to as like a perfectionist, but everything about the supposed hit just seemed very in the moment with people that he really doesn't know. Like he's just picking people, just, hey, please kill my wife. So after Zola dropped Shrien off at the hotel, he then drove to the township to meet up with Mngeni and Nzima Madoda. So basically they were just planning the hit, and the plan was that Mngeni and Nzima Madoda would be the gunmen, and they would basically just hijack the car, take Shrien out the car and drive off with Annie and kill her. The next evening, Monde and Zola were on the phone, and there is a recording of this, and it seems as though they're planning something, but they're not specific about what they're planning. And it also seemed as though Monde was the leader, the person that was planning everything. The same time this was happening, Shrien and Annie went out for supper. At 8:15 that evening, Shrien received a call from Zola, and Zola claims that during this phone call, Shrien was basically just telling him that he needs to kill Annie right away, that like they can't wait, and just pestering him and telling him that they have to do it immediately. But there is CCTV footage of Shrien and Annie at dinner at the same time that this call is happening, and basically Annie was just like lying on him and he was rubbing her head, but he's on the phone with Zola, apparently telling him that he must kill Annie right away. So that is a bit strange. Like, I don't think that happened, but also, people that were at the restaurant say that Annie and Shrien just looked very in love. They looked happy. They looked like a newlywed couple and looked like they were on their honeymoon as opposed to the night before. They also took tons of pictures and asked people to take pictures of them, and it just didn't seem like anything was wrong with the couple. They just seemed to be enjoying their honeymoon and each other's company. 30 minutes later, Zola arrives at the Cape Grace to pick up Shrien and Annie, apparently to go sightseeing in the night for some reason. And this sightseeing trip took them to Gugulethu, which is a township in Cape Town. I don't know who goes sightseeing to a township in a foreign country at 8:30 in the evening, but so when Zola drove Annie and Shrien to Gugulethu, they got like to the center of it, and that's when Mngeni and Mzwamadoda ambushed the car. They had guns and just pulled them out and started demanding for money. So according to Shrien, he just started giving them all the money that he had and started yelling at Annie to just give them everything because she wouldn't give them her rings. She had her engagement ring as well as her wedding ring, but she just refused to give it to them. Shrien then says that one of the men just pointed a gun at him and told him to get out the car, and he just pleaded that they please let Annie outside of the car as well, and they said that they wouldn't kill either of them, but they would release them separately. Some point during this ordeal, Zola was also taken out of his car. After Shrien was forcibly removed from the car sped off with Annie still inside of it. After this, a man found Shrien on the floor, just looking frantic, and helped him call the police. The police then arrived a little bit after midnight, and they started looking for both the taxi and Annie, but unfortunately they found nothing. Shrien returned to the hotel at about 1 in the morning, and CCTV footage shows that he was just very distraught and emotional after having been hijacked and the police not being able to find his wife. A day later, Annie's body was found in the back seat of the car. She had been shot in the neck and left to bleed. It also seems as though she hadn't been killed long after Shrien had been kicked out of the car. The autopsy showed that she had been shot in her left hand, then it went into her neck and basically just slashed her spinal cord. And it seems as though it wasn't like a deliberate shot to her neck, almost as though she was fighting off like the killer or killers and the gun went off. Annie's handbag was stolen, her phone as well as Shrien's phone was stolen, and all the money they had on them as well as jewelry. The only thing that wasn't stolen was Annie's rings. Her engagement ring was about £25,000, which would have been almost 3,000 rands back in 2010, and they were found in the car. One was found under Annie and one was found at like the foot of the car, like where you put your feet. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. All the men blamed Shrien except for Mngeni. Mngeni is also the only one that never took a plea deal. His story matched with Shrien's, and he had been interviewed before him, and there's no evidence that they had ever met up to discuss everything or discuss their stories. And yeah, Mzwamadoda says that Shrien had left an envelope in the back seat with 15,000 rand, but Mngeni says that they had only been able to steal 4,000 rand when they held Shrien and Annie at gunpoint. And there's evidence to suggest that the next day he spent about 2,000 rand on both shoes and sneakers. The supposed 15,000 rand that Shrien had left them has never been found. The next day after the hijacking, Shrien got a call from the police officers telling them that his wife's body had been found. His family had flew in after hearing that there had been a hijacking, and they were there with him when he received the news. CCTV footage shows that he was distraught and emotional and just couldn't stop crying. At some point after the hijacking and after Shrien had been notified about his wife's death, Zola went to the hotel and he claims that he went there to go fetch his 5,000 rand for having been Annie and Shrien's driver whilst they were in Cape Town, despite having taken them to Guguletu to be hijacked and gotten Shrien's wife killed. So he got to the hotel and him and Shrien went into a room that had no CCTV footage. When Shrien went into the room, he had a white envelope with him. After a few minutes, he left the room without the envelope. After this, Zola went out the room as well and he had hidden the white envelope in his shirt and then went to the bathroom. After this, he went to his car and left. He later told police officers that he went to the bathroom to see how much money there was and that he saw that he only got 1,000 rand and that he went back to go look for Shrien, but CCTV footage shows that he went from the room to the bathroom to his car and then he left. After the autopsy had been finished, Annie's body was returned to the UK and her funeral took place in London on the 21st of November. Anni Dewani also returned to the UK shortly after his wife's murder and received medical help to deal with the trauma of the incident. On the 8th of December, Shrien was arrested at the request of the South African authorities on suspicion of conspiracy to commit murder. The South African Justice Department also said that they were trying to extradite him. So basically that just means that he went back to the UK, but he committed the crime in SA. So they want to charge him with the crime in SA and go to jail in SA. I hope I'm making sense. So like the UK can't charge him because it didn't happen in the UK. So the SA is trying to get him back. I hope that makes sense. The next year, in February 2011, Shrien took 46 pills, and these pills were prescribed to him to just help him with his anxiety and sleep better. His psychiatrist later said that this was not a suicide attempt, although most people believe it was because, I don't know, 46 pills. Nearly 4 months after this, Anni Dewani was extradited to South Africa to stand trial over the murder of his wife, Annie. Ndumadoda Qhabe was sentenced to 25 years in prison. Zola Tonga was sentenced to 18 years in prison, and Xolile Mngeni was sentenced to life in prison. On the 6th of October 2014, Shrien's trial finally began. He told the court that he was extremely heartbroken from his wife's murder and just struggled to live and do daily things. The prosecution said that he was gay, so that's why he wanted to kill his wife, because he didn't want to be married to her anymore and disappoint his family. Shrien also then told the court that he was bisexual and that he had been using gay escort apps. In December 2014, Anni Dewani was acquitted of the murder of his wife. In 2014, Xolile Mngeni died in Goodwood Prison of a brain tumor after he was denied medical parole on grounds that he would not be supervised at home. Shrien found love again. In 2018, he posted a picture with his boyfriend. And almost 2 months ago, on the 28th of July, Zola Tonga was due to be released, but had his parole withdrawn just the day before. Some people believe that Shrien did order the hit on his wife, while other people believe that those men acted on their own accord. Please let me know what you guys think down in the comments. And that is it for today's case. If you guys have any comments or thoughts, please leave them down below and I'll see you guys next time.